Okay, welcome everyone. We are about to get underway shortly. Just waiting until we just click over the 8 o'clock mark, my time. But thank you for joining us, and we're going to spend about 45 minutes today on talking about selling art online. And I'll give you a bit of an overview of the new coaching program that we're launching next week. And I also want to give you some examples of some artists who are really embracing this new world, which is exciting. So we will give you that overview as well. So just give me 2 seconds to sort a few things out. And then we'll be underway. Okay, so hopefully you can all see me and hear me okay. And so welcome everyone. I can see a few of you logging in. I know a few of you, but I don't know some of you. So welcome to those who I don't know, and welcome back friends who I do know. Exciting to have you here. So what we're going to do over the next 45 minutes or 30 minutes, 40 minutes, depending, is just go through a bit of an overview of what I think is the new world of the art world, and what I've called the rise of the artpreneur. So artpreneur is, artist, entrepreneur. And that's certainly what I've become, is somebody who's built a business around my art. And, it's an opportunity right now with the technology we have available to us to be able to build an art career. Whereas once upon a time, that wouldn't have been possible for me, because I'm a good artist. I'm not a great artist. And if I had to try and build an art career in the old model, which is the gallery system, I probably wouldn't have been able to do that. So I would have just been a hobby artist. But with technology we have today and the different platforms we have available for us, it's possible for pretty much any artist, no matter where they're starting from, to, over the next 2, 3, 5 years, build a business around their art and earn a full-time living from their art. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. And I'll give you a little bit of an overview of the 12-week group coaching program that we're about to start, and why you should seriously consider joining that if you haven't already done so. And I'm going to show you a plan where within 3 months, you can basically recoup the investment that you make into the program. You can recoup that investment within 3 months, maybe 6 months if you're a little bit slower. You don't have as much time to commit, but certainly within 3 months if you put in a real effort. I'll show you a plan on how to get your full investment back by selling your art. Okay, and we'll look at how to do that on eBay. And I'll show you a case study of a friend of mine who's absolutely killing it on eBay at the moment. Pardon me. So that's what I thought I would do first, is just start off and I'll share with you some artists who are embracing this new world, just to give you a model of possibility. Because I think if you don't have the belief system that you can use the technology available today to be able to reach out around the world and grow an audience, if you don't have that belief system, then you're not going to fully commit to doing it. You can't expect to be successful building an art business and only partly committing to it. You've got to be fully committed, and you've got to really embrace it and really go after it, because there's lots of artists out there, and to rise to the top and get visibility and to get noticed, it's going to take a little bit of effort and time to break through that initial inertia. But if you can get past that stage where you build out your marketing systems and you really start to develop an audience for your art, then you can definitely build a business out of it. Now, just give me 1 second. So you can definitely build a business out of your art, following a blueprint, following a step-by-step plan, which is what I want to outline for you here today. So let's get started. And good morning, Lynette and everyone who's joined us. Let's get started, and this will be recorded, so it'll be available to watch back later on if you want to go back through it again. But so what I thought we'd do, I just want to start out from a point of, let's have a look at some artists who are out there actually doing this rather than just talk. We'll have a look at artists who are busy doing this, right? So the first one I want to talk about is my friend Jose. Jose is a young Mexican guy, and he's based in Arizona. and he is absolutely killing it on eBay. So let's go to his eBay account, and I'll just give you a bit of an example of what he's doing, right? Because a lot of artists think when they hear eBay, they think low prices, nobody wants to, you can't sell art there, et cetera, et cetera. But, Jose, I'll show you his account here in eBay. He's one example of an artist who's broken through, and there's lots of artists that have been successful on eBay, right? However, there's lots more who haven't. There's more that haven't because they haven't approached it with the right way. And what I like to, the analogy I like to use is that, a hammer in the hands of a 2-year-old who doesn't know how to use a hammer, that's a dangerous thing. But a hammer in the hands of a master craftsman, he can build a house out of it, right? So just having the tools, eBay and Facebook and YouTube and websites, is not enough. It's knowing how to use them correctly. And so what Jose has done is he's absolutely mastered how to use these tools, right? So if you have a look here, he's got 5,107 feedback, right? That's feedback. So not everybody who buys a piece of art leaves feedback. Some people don't. So to get 5,000, he's probably made 10 to 15,000 sales. Excuse me while I drink my cuppa. He's probably made 10 to 15,000 sales on eBay over the last 4 or 5 years, right? So art sells on eBay, but what you got to do is get your head around a different model, a different way of thinking about how to sell on eBay and how to sell art. So if you're thinking gallery type sales and gallery type prices, then eBay won't work for you. But if you're thinking of eBay as a way to attract an audience that you can put into a database and you can sell those people paintings or whatever art you produce more and more over time, then eBay is a method or a system that you can use, right? So there's some of his featured items, but basically he has all these auctions that are ending. Now, some of them, he's getting, this one's ending in 1 hour and 25 minutes. He's had 14 bids that it's going to sell for $18, right? Now, these paintings take him about 15 to 20 minutes to do. And that's one of the keys, painting small and painting fast and having a lot of output and production of artwork and then listing them up. And basically what that allows you to do then is have a lot of listings, but it allows you to test different ideas and subjects and mediums and things like that. So, this one's going to sell for $18. Now, this is all happening within 1 day, right? This one's going to sell for $8.79. In fact, they're going to sell for more because there's more than 2 hours left on some of these. $27. This one hasn't had a bid. Okay, so some of them aren't going to get bids. These frames he sells extra, right? So you pay another $80 for the frames, right? $45. This one's ending in 3 hours. Now, I don't know if you're adding this up. $7.44, $3.10, $21, $1.30, $1.69. Look at this, $93. This is ending in 5 hours, 21 bids. I guarantee that'll go for $100 or $200, range by the time that one's done. This is all still on the same day, right? $75, $27. Oh, that one's got a day. Okay, so basically, he's got about 10 auctions finishing, maybe a bit more, and he's probably going to make $300 from this 1 day, right? Now, he paints fast, he produces a lot of volume, and he tries different subjects and things, but he's making, at least $200 to $300 a day selling his art on eBay, right? So eBay works, right? If you approach it in the right way. Now, the interesting thing was I interviewed Jose, and he said that it took him 6 months, right, to get traction. 6 months where he'd list, and you can see here he's still got paintings that are going to sell for, this one's $1.40. Some don't get bids, $3. So he's still got paintings that are not going to do that well, but there are some that really fire for him now because he's got competition. He's got 21 bids, right? Let's just go and have a look at that one. So it took him 6 months of, not getting many bids and some didn't sell and some sold for the minimum bid and so on. But he kept doing it every day for 6 months. And then all of a sudden he got traction. And now he's making, at least $200 to $300 a day from what I can see. And this is just the start of what he's doing, right? Because what he's doing is if he sold 10,000 pieces of work, then he's got a database of all those buyers who are going to be coming to him for commissions and bigger pieces of work. Not all of them, but enough of them, right? And you only need 1,000 true fans to make a living from your artwork. So what am I looking for here? I've got no idea why I'm showing you. This is the actual listing, all of his details in there. Links to his social media accounts and so on. Can't remember why I logged in here to show you, but yeah, anyway. Oh, that's what I was going to show you is the bidders. That's what I was going to show you. Now I remember. Coming here to the 21 bid. So I guarantee you there's at least 3 or 4 people that are fighting over this one. Okay, so he's protected his bidder's identity, but look at all the bids that have come through. And this one's still got about 5 hours to go. So this is going to go for at least $150, I guarantee it. Just because of human nature is when people love an artist and they love the artwork and they get sucked into the bidding process, they do tend to keep bidding it up and up. Not every piece, right? And this is the important thing. But because of the way Jose approaches it, he's got enough pieces there happening every day that his collectors and buyers, they keep seeing pieces they want to own and they keep bidding it up, right? So Jose is one example of somebody who's making eBay work. There's lots of examples of people who have made a living just from selling on eBay. But what I'm suggesting to you is that eBay is only one part of the picture, but it's a place to start. Start with small pieces, produce them quickly, low dollar value, and volume. Because what will happen is that'll start, when you start to make sales, you'll get those relationships started with buyers, the people who love your artwork, and then you'll sell them more in time, right? But it's a 3 to 6 month process. Now, if you just follow the eBay system that I'm going to outline for you in the 12-week group coaching program, just follow that. Within 3 to 6 months, you'll make back the $500 investment in the 12-week group coaching program. So that's one example, right? Let me show you another example. Katie Jobling, right? She's a young lady in the UK, and I don't know Katie. I've just come across her website and I've just been following what she does because I think she's on the right approach. So she's an acrylic artist, oil artist, and she's brilliant at making these little videos. And she's pretty cute as well, so she probably attracts people just because she looks better than if I put my ugly mug on a video, right? But the way she produces her videos, it doesn't take a lot of effort, but look at the views, 209,000 in 3 months, 169,000, 156,000 views, right? She is building an audience using YouTube. Anyone can do this, right? Now, you may not get the same results as her. She's an exception, but even if you got 10% of that as a result, and it was only part of your strategy, it's worth doing, right? Now, I can't see, she's got 40,000 subscribers here at the moment. If you click through to her website, now I'm just showing you these as a few examples. There are tons and tons of examples of artists who are embracing this new world that we live in, the opportunity we have right now, right? So here's Katie's website. I'm not going to show you all her website, but it's pretty well presented. Now, she doesn't sell any of her paintings from her website. You have to click through to Etsy to buy any of her paintings, right? So she's chosen Etsy as a platform to sell her artwork. So let's go to Katie's shop. And you can see her artwork here, but this is the part I want to draw your attention. She started in 2013, okay, so 4 years ago, and she sold 340 pieces of work so far. I guarantee you she's also got commissions and sold bigger paintings directly off her website as well, but most of her sales happen here in Etsy, right? Now, Etsy is a crowded marketplace, and if you don't have the right methodology when you go to Etsy, again, it's a bit like that hammer in the hands of a 2-year-old. Madly whacking it everywhere, dangerous, right? But in the hands of a master craftsperson, somebody who knows what they're doing, tools like Etsy and eBay can make you a lot of sales. So why is Katie being successful on Etsy? Well, it's not so much Etsy, it's she's building an audience on YouTube and she's driving them to Etsy, right? It's the audience is the key, because I guarantee there's a lot of artists on Etsy who sell nothing. Same as eBay, same as anywhere, right? If you build your own audience, as both Jose and Katie are doing, then you can make these tools work for you more effectively. So, she had 2,126 likes or favorites of her shop. That's pretty impressive stuff, right? can't remember who else I've got here because I can't see under that tab. Oh, okay. Let's have a look at this one. This one is pretty fascinating. This is Lockery Fine Art. Now, she has an interesting style, but she's using YouTube. She does little demos and things like that on her site here. Now, she's been pretty successful with this, 145,000 subscribers, right? Now, I've only got 5,000 subscribers on my YouTube, and I'm doing pretty well, right, with YouTube and Facebook and so on. So she's got 145,000. So that's impressive, right? But what she's doing, how she's monetizing her art is, whoop, okay, what have I just done? Go back to share. Okay, hopefully you can still see the screen here. Just need to move that across to there. Okay, she's using a site called Patreon. I'll just refresh that site. There we go. So I don't know if you've heard of Patreon, but Patreon is basically where people can become supporters or Patreons of artists. And there's lots of different artists that, you know, you could be a musician or a poet or whatever, but people basically support your art through Patreon. Now, basically, you know, through you driving YouTube to Patreon, she's built up a income of $6,652 US a month recurring, right? So she's built out a recurring income stream using YouTube and Patreon. Now, I'm sure she's got other ways of monetizing her art, but this is another way that you can build out an art business online today, right? She's got 1,320 Patreons. And if we just scroll down to one of the levels, so there's different levels that people can sponsor her. Let me just have a look here. So she's called this one Phthalo Blue. You pay $9 or more. She's got 503 people paying her $9 or more. And, you know, basically you get a thank you card in the post, monthly art challenges, 5 reference photos to do your own paintings. So she does little tutorials and things, and then people sponsor her. And you can see here that she locks her posts. So this post is only for $4 plus patrons, right? What a great way to monetize your artwork, right? YouTube to Patreon, okay? It's another way of looking at it. And, you know, you've all seen my More Art School and so on, so I won't show you that. But they're just a couple of examples, and there are lots and lots of examples of artists today who are embracing this new world. And I haven't even shown you online galleries and things like that. See you later. You have a great day. There's lots of other examples, right? So we're going to go through those in the 12-week group coaching program. And we are going to look at how you can replicate a similar sort of system. Okay, so what I want to show you here, and I'll just bring this up. If I come here, go to the whiteboard, I just want to give you a little, very brief overview of what the system that we're going to build out looks like. Okay, so if I grab my pen here. So at the heart of our system, we need to have, in this day and age, you need to have a, so I'm just still learning how to use this, but I'll get it right in a moment. We need to have a website. This is going to be the heart of our whole marketing system online. And on that website, you need to have your art with buy now buttons, right? If you don't have a lot of artwork online with a button next to it where people can click and they can buy your art, then you're not going to make much art. So in case of Katie Jobling, she had all her buy now buttons on Etsy, right? In the case of Jose, he's got the bid now on eBay. The Patreon lady that I showed you, she's got, you know, click here to become a Patreon. If you want to sell, you know, what I recommend is that you have a website who is the heart and soul of your whole online marketing efforts. And on that website, you have buy now buttons and pieces of art, and lots of them, pardon me. But then the other thing that you have, and what a lot of artists aren't doing, is a way of getting them into a database. The database is still the most effective marketing system. If you're on my More Art School database, which I assume you are, you'll know that I email out a lot to my database, right? So that email database is one of the most important aspects of your whole marketing system and building an audience. So how do I build my database on my Rod More Art? I have a win a painting competition, win a painting. And I do that because I get lots and lots of people putting their email address in to win a painting. I've got a painting draw coming up at the end of May. And through social media and things like that, I get a ton of people who want to win that painting. They enter their email address in. So I'm building an audience that I can then email out to, right? Once we've got a good website with our artwork and our buy now buttons and an email database, then what we can do is send out emails to our database, right? On a regular basis, talking about us and what we do. Now, here's the thing. People who love art and artists, they fall in love with the artist, but they want a connection with the artist, right? They want to feel a sense of, that they get to know the artist and a bit of insight in what the artist is doing and what their working process is. And people feel magnetically drawn to want to be connected to an artist. And you can use that to your advantage, right? So you send out regular emails and you drive them back to your website. So you have a section on your website called a blog. And on that blog, if you want to be a full-time artist, I'd recommend that you daily or at least several times a week, you're updating your blog and your social media. Social media, I think daily. You need to be doing at least 1 or 2 posts every day. But your blog, you might be doing a post a couple of times a week, right? So the people who enter your database, you send them out these email updates, send them back to your blog and your website, and then the more times they're on your blog and your website, the more they're looking at your art, the more chances they'll click one of those buy now buttons and make a really sensible decision, right, to buy our art. So this is what I think is the heart and soul, the core system that we want to build out. And this is what we're going to cover in the 12-week group coaching program, is that system, right there. That's a key part of it. How do we create this content? Because basically what we're doing here is creating content, which should be video and photo and articles on our blogs, okay? The content engages people and it gives our audience a reason to be still interested in us, and we remain relevant to them, right? So then hanging off all of that, we have social media. Okay, and I'll just show you how all this fits together. The only social media sites that I recommend is YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, okay? Now, the problem is there's tons of social media sites and we hear about new ones all the time and we think, oh, maybe that's the answer. And we race over and we do a little bit, we hear Snapchat's working really well. So we race over and we do just a little bit with Snapchat and whatever, and then we never master it, right? We set up a Facebook page, but we don't dig deep enough into how do we really master growing my Facebook page. And so most artists have a Facebook page and they've got 150 likes on their page, right? Their family and friends. They never get out into the bigger market. So you need to learn how to dig deep into these different social media sites. And the way I see those social media sites is they're a way to drive people to our website and get them into our database, right? That's the primary goal. So, I want to use social media to extract my audience, people who start to fall in love with me and they want to, be involved with what I'm doing. They maybe want to work with me or they want to buy my art. I want to pull them off social media into my database so that I can start this system here, right? Get this loop of in the database, get my emails, go back to my website, and then buy art, all right? Or buy now, buy whatever, right? That's what our goal is. So social media, very important. But then the other thing is when we've got this database happening, we can drive that database back into our social media as well. So now if I put up a YouTube video, I can email out to my database that as it's growing, email it to the database and send them back to my social media sites. So my YouTube videos the views go up, and so YouTube ranks it higher, and the whole thing snowballs as a result. So there's social media, then we've got what we call buyer sites. So I call buyer sites things like eBay, okay, and Etsy and Daily Paintworks and so on. So again, you make sales on there, but really the bigger reason is it's a way of getting visibility back to our website and into our database. Anyone who buys art from these sites, they go in the database, and then you've got this relationship then starting to build with them through the database, right? So that's what I see those with. And then the other thing is online art galleries, like Saatchi. There's tons of them, but picking 4 or 5 good ones, right? Saatchi. There's Fine Art America, and there might be some, depending on what country you're in. Like in Australia here, Blue Thumb and for Art Fido are good ones, right? And again, you might sell some art on there. I've sold plenty of art on different online galleries. But really what I'm doing is people who are searching for art, they're discovering me and then coming across to my website and entering my database is what I'm really all about. So this is the system that we want to build out. This is going to take time. You're not going to build this out overnight. I think to go from, let's say you're starting at 0 right now, you're not making consistent regular sales of your art, but you want to get to say $5,000 a month, right? Because when I started, my goal was to get to $5,000 a month because that's basically what I was getting paid. How long is that going to take? Well, if you're doing it part-time, it might take 4 to 5 years, maybe. And I'm talking about consistent, reliable, bank on it every month type income, not one-off sales of your art where you have an income spike, but next month it goes back down, right? If you're doing it full-time, then, realistically, that could take anywhere from 1 to 3 years. I'd bank on, 2 to 3 years to get to that point. If you want to make $500 a month, then as I said, you could start doing that on eBay within the next 3 to 6 months if you follow the plan that I'm going to outline for those who join the 12-week group coaching call, right? So the reason why it's going to take time is because it's going to take time to set up these systems, and it's going to take time to build the audience. And in that, you're going to sell artwork as you go, but having that consistent, reliable income stream is what we're all about. So I hope that gives you a bit of an overview, a snapshot of what we're doing. I might just save that because it's not a bad little demo. Okay, and then I'll stop sharing. Okay, so that's a bit of an overview of the system that we're going to be talking about during the 12-week group coaching program. Pardon me for having a cuppa. So, sorry, I think I keep looking all over the place. I've got to remember that the camera is just there. I'm not used to doing it on the laptop. If you have questions, there is a chat system so you can ask questions. I'm happy to answer them. But what I'll do now is I'll just go and do a bit of an overview of the 12-week group coaching program. I know a few of you already joined it, which is great. Thank you very much. But for those who haven't and maybe thinking about it, let me just show you what we're going to be doing. So it's called the Artpreneur Selling Art Online. So we're going to be building out that system that I just showed you, basically. And there's more to it than the brief overview that I just gave you. Again, it's like the difference between a 2-year-old with a hammer and a master craftsman with a hammer. The master craftsman has learnt those distinctions and the subtleties of how to use the hammer, right? So that's what we're going to dig into. So it's broken into 4 sections, sorry. Section 1 is really about getting the foundation right. So we're going to be looking at week 1, getting a bigger overview of the business model. So what I just showed you, and it goes into a bit more detail about that. And we'll also be talking about you, because the reason why all those artists I showed you are successful, and the reason why I've been able to build a 6-figure business model around my art is because I've attracted an audience. People just feel, not everyone, but the right people feel drawn to me. They want to take my courses and so on, because they feel drawn to me magnetically, right? So there's a reason why people do that, because it's how you engineer that, right? It's the marketing message you put out there. It's how you create intrigue. It's how you get people curious, wanting to find out more. It's how you build the desire within people to want to buy your art or take your art courses or whatever, right? So yeah, to get all of that right, you have to look at yourself. You can't be one of those artists who's got a dark personality, negative, bitching, whining, complaining, and only wants to hide behind an easel. You have to develop your personality in such a way that you become attractive in order to attract an audience, right? Now, I've had to work on that. I go to Toastmasters to learn how to speak in front of an audience, and so it takes time, but we'll talk about that in the first week. The second week, we're going to basically create a plan and a blueprint for your particular business, because everyone's journey is different. Some of you may only want to make $1,000 a month. So we'll map out a plan for that, right? Some of you might want to make $10,000 a month or more. We'll map out a plan, and that plan will look at how much artwork do we have to produce on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in order to be able to reach our income goals. And if I'm going to produce X number of pieces of work, how long am I going to take to do each piece? What hours during the week am I going to block out just for studio time and just for marketing time? What marketing do we need to do, etc.? So we're going to create a plan for your success in week 2. In week 3, we're going to look at producing your work and the right approach to be able to, because this is a new world. Selling art online is going to be different from selling it in galleries, and the approach that you use is going to be different. Okay, but there are certain things that sell well, unless you're in that top 5% or 2%, then you have to approach it a little bit differently. And you can work your way up to that, but we need to start, we need to be realistic about our starting point. If you're not making consistent, reliable sales every month right now, then you're starting at 0, right? So what does that mean in terms of the valuation of your art, and therefore how much time and effort should you put into each piece, right? You don't want to produce one piece a month that takes you all month that you need to get $10,000 for because you've only produced one piece. That is just the wrong approach, right? You want to produce 100 pieces of work at lower dollar values, that if you can sell 20 or 30 of them, you can make $1,000 this month, and you can repeat it the next month, because it's all about being able to duplicate and repeat it month in, month out to earn a steady income, right? So we'll talk about that art production side of things in week 3. So after we've done those first 3 weeks, then there'll be a 45-minute call with me, and we'll go through the work that you've done. So this call won't happen until you've actually done the assignments of these 3 weeks, okay? Now, I should point out, even though this is 12 weeks, if you need to take 24 weeks to complete it all, or 36 weeks, that's perfectly fine. You can take as long as you like. It's just, I'm going to deliver it over 12 weeks. But yeah, when you've done the assignments from the first 3 weeks, we'll then have a coaching call and we'll review what you've done to make sure that you're on track with it, yeah? Then we'll go into section 2, which is building out that platform, that website, the database, email marketing that we talked about. We'll look at how to grow your email database. And then we'll set up all of our social media pages that we need, and we'll talk about how to use those, right? So that's going to be section 2. There's going to be a lot of grunt work in here, because we're going to be building out our systems. We're going to need to get a head around technology. We're going to need to decide what website platform, which for some of you that might mean you have to go out and learn how to build a website, or find somebody who can build a website for you, right? So there's going to be a bit involved in this section. It's a pretty meaty section, but stick at it and work through it, and you'll get there. Now, I can't provide technical support, so if you're using a particular type of website or email database system, then I can't be across all of them, right? Because you get to choose which system you want to use, but it's impossible for me to provide technical support for all of them. So I can provide strategy and the system behind it. But if you've got technical issues, you're going to need to either learn the website system that you use, or get some help. And I'll show you where to get help at very cheap prices as well. So at the end of that section, we'll then have another call. We'll review everything you've done. We'll actually use a system like we're on right now, and we'll bring up your website and we'll talk about it. Okay, we'll talk about what you need to do to change and how to make it more effective, and we'll review everything you've done in that next coaching call. Okay, so then by the time we've done that coaching call, you'll have your system ready. Okay, at the same time, you'll still be producing your artwork, so you'll have plenty of artwork to go up there as well. Okay, then we'll go to section 3. Now we're going to talk about, let's attract an audience to us, right? Because we need an audience. We need people who follow us and our artwork. And the bigger that audience, the more sales of our art we're going to make. Simple fact, right? I showed you some examples of people who are doing that right now. I'm an example of somebody who's doing that right now. I've had 15,000 people come through our online Learn to Paint courses. And, I've done pretty well as a result of that. I provide a lot of value, and, money flows back to me and income flows back to me as a result. So we're going to talk about how do you grow that audience, content creation. How do we, on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, share with our audience what it is that we're doing, and create that intrigue factor and create that magnetic feeling in our audience where they just feel drawn to want to find out more about what we're doing, right? It's all about curiosity and intrigue. And then we'll look at social media again. We'll go back in and look at how do we use Facebook and Instagram to grow our audience, and then how do we do YouTube marketing, okay? I've started doing these little 2 to 3 minute little video snapshots in my studio. I finish painting, I get my phone, right? If we don't need amazing technology for this, I'm using my smartphone, right? You could have an Apple or an Android phone, and I'm creating little 2 to 3 minute videos. I just do a painting, and then I put the camera up and I start talking to the camera and show the painting, right? And this is why I created this painting. So we'll talk about YouTube marketing, okay? All about growing the audience, as I diagrammed for you before. Then when you've got this started and you're doing this, okay, we'll then have another coaching call to review how you're going with this, and what is your content looking like, and what sort of reaction are you getting. Now, initially, when you're starting at zero, right, you don't have an audience, you're not going to get much response, but you build it up over time, and you start to build momentum over time. You just got to keep consistently working at it. It really is a 1 to 3 year project. If you think you're going to make money selling your art online overnight, well, you might make a sale or two, but you won't build an income out of it, right? A consistent, reliable income. That's what I'm all about. So there's work to do, right? There's time involved. You can't make it happen overnight, unfortunately. But as we grow this audience, the bigger the audience grows and the more connection you have with that audience, then the more successful you'll become. So then we'll have another 45-minute call. And then we'll talk about engineering sales. Now, you'll already be making sales because we'll be talking about eBay and so on earlier in the program, which I haven't got listed here because I decided to add it in as a bonus after I created this document. But we'll talk about creating sales of your bigger pieces by creating series and doing your own launch and having your own online exhibition on your website, right? And making your art available to people who are on your database and in your social media profiles. Launching a series of art and doing that 3 or 4 times a year, right? And then we'll talk about expanding out into some of those online galleries like Saatchi, Fine Art America, and whatever else is relevant in your marketplace. Okay. I did put it in here. Yeah. How to make $500 a month on eBay selling your art. We're going to talk about that, right? So if you follow the program I'll outline in this bonus training, within 3 to 6 months, you will be able to start making at least $500 a month from your art on eBay, right? And as part of that little training, I'm doing a interview next week with Jose, who I showed you. We're going to talk about what's his strategy and his thinking behind how he's making so many sales on eBay. He's making $200 to $300 a day on eBay, right? How's he doing that? So I'm going to interview him and really find that out. I actually interviewed him last week, but it didn't record his side of the audio, unfortunately, so he's agreed to do it again. But what I can tell you is the information he shared in there was phenomenal. You won't get that information just anywhere. So because I've got a good friendship with him, he agreed to come on and do an interview because, he doesn't want to let everyone know how he's making eBay work for him, as you can imagine, right? But he's allowed me to share that in this program here. Okay, so that's the program. It's extremely comprehensive. It's 12 weeks, but if it took you 36 weeks or 48 weeks, it doesn't really matter. When you've completed each section, we'll have our coaching call. And it's $497 once-off investment for this initial group. I'm probably going to rise it to $997 US. Now, just want to clarify one thing. This is US dollars because most of what I do is in Australian dollars, but this is part of a bigger business that I'm launching later this year, which is going to be called the Artpreneur Academy, right? And this program is going to be one of the products that we offer in the Artpreneur Academy. There's a couple of other people in the US that I'm partnering with in that, and we're about to launch a podcast on becoming an artpreneur and doing a whole range of things, a monthly newsletter, training. So that's why this is in US dollars, and that's why it's also going to go up in investment cost towards the end of the year. So good opportunity right now. So it's $497 US, and If you just follow that eBay program alone, then you are going to get you recoup your investment, right? Because within 3 months you'll end up if you follow the eBay program, you'll end up recouping your investment. So look, that's about all I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to go for about 30 to 40 minutes. If anyone has a question, you can type it into the group chat there. I'm not exactly sure how that works because I've only just started using this system. But if anyone has questions, then feel free to type those in now, and I'll hang around for a few minutes to answer those questions. Or alternatively, you can email me at rod@moreartschool.com, okay? Or rodmoreart@gmail.com, although I'm having a few problems with that email. So yeah, try rod@moreartschool.com. You can email me any questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day. Cheers for now. And for those who've joined me already on the 12-week group coaching program, thank you very much. It's going to be exciting, right? I know I've spoken to most of you so far, but we're going to have a great time. It's going to be intense and it's going to be a lot of work. We'll try and make it fun as well, right? But it's all about building a platform where you take control of your own art career and put yourself in a position where you can actually start to earn a consistent, reliable income from it. And that's the key, There's no point having one-off sales here and there. We want to make sure that every month we're selling our art, month in, month out, because we're growing an audience of people who love us, love our artwork, and they want to be part of what we're doing, right? So that's what we're going to focus on. All right. Cheers for now, and hope you all have a great day. Look forward to chatting to you soon. Cheers.